I think there's an interesting tie-in here to what we were just discussing before, because we're discussing, does it do people end up with more or less power relative to,
Hmm.
the classic Marxist ruling class if they have a basic income? Is it a way of us getting trapped? Or I tend to think of it as like, well, obviously you've got more leverage in either this dystopia or where everything's bad around the basic income, or in the world where everything's good around the basic income. The basic income is still giving whoever receives it that much more money, which gives them that much more leverage in any situation. So, I think people uh, often talk about a basic income not being worth anything if it doesn't reach a certain threshold, and I don't think that's true, because you'll always have some degree of increased freedom for the recipients. So someone who's working two jobs might just work one, or you might work fewer shifts, or whatever, right? So in that hand, we've got the basic income as something that gives you the freedom to say no to work, but it also, and this is the
Yeah.
bit that makes people on the left suspicious, it gives you the ability to say yes to work that might not be well paid. For example, participating in a local theater troupe and so on. So, I mean, is the basic income facilitating low wage work, like more people doing internships or whatever? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is that something we need to prevent, or is that a feature or a bug?
Well, it's important to distinguish it from a wage subsidy. So, a wage subsidy, you're only getting, it's only really taking effect if you're working. Sure, maybe the design of the BI might undercut the ideal of that you can work a minimum wage job for 38 and a half hours a week and be above the poverty line. But you win some and you lose some, that you're making other trade-offs to get there. And you mentioned something which triggered a thought. BI is actually really good strike pay.
Yeah, the Universal Strike Fund.
Yeah. So
and just the general tightening of the labor market, you know what I mean? So if you have a household where there's three jobs between two people, that one of them might say, okay, well, we don't need that now that we've got this top up payment or whatever, right? And that means that the people who are still in the job market have one less person to compete with, at the same time as you've got this increased demand because people have got more money to spend. So it seems to me, I mean, we talked before about full employment. And there's multiple ways to full employment, because full employment means that everyone who wants a job, that everyone who's participating in the labor force can get one. And one is to increase the number of jobs, and the other is to decrease the number of people participating in the labor force. So you have people opting out to raise children or do whatever
exactly.
Other things.
Yeah, and that actually gets me to an interesting point. People on the left are often correctly critical of flat tax rates, which no one has dragged me on a policy being a flat tax rate yet. But it's actually got a really, really cool feature in that within any given household, under our system, it wouldn't matter who earned what proportion of the income. The household would still be the same off. If you had two people on, say, on $55,000 each, they would pay the same net tax. Well, in fact, they would be net recipients under our policy now. They would be exactly the same off as if that same household had one person earning $110,000 and the other person being a stay-at-home parent. And I think that's actually really cool, because it gives people a lot of additional choice